to that in law. Now, this form of law is not a law similar to statutory law, which is the law of the governed by consent, which is based upon Roman civil law or civil law. And equity is something that has been statutized since 1873, I think it's 1873, with the introduction of the Judicial Trustees Act of 1868 was a prelude into the statutization of equity. Now, that time in history is a very interesting time in so much that we'd had the South Sea bubble in the early part of the 1700s and the formation of the Bank of England in 1694. Some 100 and something years later, in the 1870s, we'd encountered the Third Opium War with China, and there was a lot of things happening abroad which were directly affected by what was happening in England, because obviously England was, well, at that time the British Empire was at the height of its control of the world. So what is the Judicial Trustees Act saying? And what it's saying is that the court will not leave a trust situation, a relationship between people, it will not leave it wanting for an administrator or a manager of the situation, which is where a judge will come in and he'll adjudicate upon a case and he'll offer his service. So that was always drawn upon the conscience of man, which was something that the king had offered as his warrant, if you like, a warranty deed to the situation, where people would, because of their agreement on coming to the king, they would draw upon his conscience, and it would be seen that their conscience had been seen by the king, and because the king is fair and just, he'd given his best opinion of who had done equity the most and what was the best way to remedy the situation. So equity is about conscience up until the time when it's been statutized and has become something of a company rule for the UK. Now, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, or Northern Ireland, is not England, so it's not the law of the English people, but it is the law of the British citizen, and we have to draw a line there between what is a citizen and what is a man or an Englishman. And a citizen per se would quite categorically correspond to civil law, CIVI, and citizen, CITI. In fact, city, we can see there some correspondence in the spelling. Whereas an Englishman who's coming from a point where he has what's called sentia, which means that he has thoughts, he's deemed to have a soul, and he can basically operate on a biological level, whereas a citizen is actually a form of documentation whereby someone is accounted for in the accounting of the state. Now, the state is not a geographical mass. The state is actually the state of the nation. So England has assumed England and Wales as a state of the nation, and hence comes about the United Kingdom. So we have at the figurehead the Queen, who is deemed to be the head of the church and defender of the faith. So what is it, the faith that she's defending? Well, she, out of her queenship, if you like, is a woman, like any woman who you care to meet on a day-to-day basis. And she has the same biological needs. She needs food, she needs water, and she needs warmth, shelter, all of the things that she has a right to have on the land. And people have, this right. Now, What gives them this right?